This is a 30-minute restorative yoga practice designed and sequenced to bring relaxation to the entire body. Each of the 6 poses is about 5 minutes long, so you're welcome to practice the whole thing, or if you have less time on any day, you can always take 1 or 2 of the poses out of the practice and make sure that you still get what you need, even in just 5 minutes. So before we begin, make sure that you're wearing clothes that you feel comfortable in, that you can do some gentle movement in, that you feel warm enough in. You might have a pair of socks on, an extra sweater nearby. You'll also want to find as quiet and as clear a place as you can to practice. Some space on the floor. If you've got a door to close, that's a plus. And you'll also want to gather your props before you begin, so you don't have to get up during the practice to get what you need. So you'll want to have on hand a space designated for your practice. I happen to have a yoga mat nearby, so I have that down first, but you don't need one. And then I have a blanket unfolded on top of the mat. You might do 2 blankets if you don't have a yoga mat, or even just on the carpet is fine. I have 2 extra blankets here. If you don't have blankets, you can use bath towels, something like that. 1, 2, 3, at least 2, I would say, maybe 3. I've got some pillows off my bed. I just have 2 pillows here. I also have a yoga bolster, but if you don't have a yoga bolster, no problem. You can grab a few extra pillows from your bed. You can take the cushions off your couch. If you have like a lumbar support pillow, you can use that. We're all about improvisation here, doing the best with what we have. And you'll see I also have a chair because we'll use the chair to practice today as well. So you can press pause, take a moment, get what you need. Oh, you might also have some water nearby. Stay hydrated as you practice. And we'll begin. So whenever you're coming into a full restorative yoga practice, or even just a pose at a time, take the first few moments to settle in. For most of us, the quality and the pace of our days, it's fast, it's full. It doesn't feel like the relaxation we're about to invite ourselves into. So this kind of transition moment is essential to give yourself some space just to land right here and settle in and separate out, maybe leave behind whatever it is you still have left to do on your to-do list today. So we'll sit together to begin, and you're welcome to sit on the floor. If you're on the floor, you might take a pillow or 2 so that you can prop up your hips, and you want your hips to be higher than your knees. This takes some of the pressure off the knees. If feels like your hips could use some extra support, you might take your 2 blankets, fold them up, and place them underneath your knees. In restorative yoga, we use the props to fill in the space beneath us and sometimes behind us, so that our bodies don't have to work so hard to be here. So if the seat on the floor, something like this, works for you, you're welcome to settle in. You can also use your chair. And I have just a kind of basic either dining room chair or desk chair, something that is sturdy and firm enough. And I'm sitting on the chair, got my knees at about 90-degree angle. So just kind of bent so that the knees and the ankles stack up. And I have my feet on the floor. The feet are about as wide as my hips. So there's this nice long line from the hips to the knees to the ankles on the floor. And if you're sitting on the chair, you can sit a few inches away from the back of the chair so that you're using your spine to keep yourself upright. And whether you're on the floor or you're in the chair, you can let the hands rest in your lap, somewhere towards the middle of your thighs, perhaps. If the hands are too far forward, sometimes we lean forward. The hands are too far back, the tendency might be to slouch. So go ahead and you can move around, you can shift You can move the whole body as you settle in. Just find a place where it feels comfortable enough to land. And if it feels okay and safe for you, you can close your eyes. Otherwise, you might just soften the gaze. Pick a place on the floor to look out to, a few feet in front of you, so that the back of the neck stays long. The chin is just ever so slightly tucked. And you can check in with the kind of usual places in the body where we tend to hold on to the day. It might be the shoulders. You can draw them up by your ears. And as you exhale, you can let the shoulders descend down your back. A few times like that. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. And deep breath out. And relax your jaw. Relax your face. Relax even your fingers and your toes. And see if you can begin to notice your breath. This breath that you are breathing right now. This breath that you've been breathing all day. But perhaps this is the first time that you've noticed it. And if it's comfortable and possible for you, you can try breathing in and out through your nose. A smooth, gentle breath in through the nose. And a smooth, gentle breath out through the nose. Smooth, gentle breath in through the nose. A smooth, gentle breath out through the nose. And keep that going, breathing in and out through your nose. And you might find that the breath is a bit longer now than the breath you started with. And perhaps even you feel it deeper in your abdomen. You might even bring a hand down to your low belly. And you might bring the other hand to your chest. And in these last 3 rounds of breath, you can feel the breath move through your body. The rise of your belly and your chest as you inhale. And the softening back down of your belly and your chest as you exhale. As you exhale, let your hands fall back to your thighs, your legs, your lap. If you've closed your eyes, you can slowly blink them open and just take your time, take a moment. Restorative yoga is centered around these shapes that we make with our body, and we set them up, get as comfortable as we can, support ourselves with the props, and then we stay. We stay in what feels like almost stillness, except for the breath is always moving us, and invites a quality of stillness through the whole body and maybe the mind. And because we take our time with each shape, setting it up and being there, we'll see if we can also smooth out the transitions, take our time in between each shape as well. So when you're ready, you can come out of your seat. If you're on the chair, you can just hold on to the seat of the chair with your hands to lift yourself up. And the next shape that we'll make is a supported bridge pose. And for this one, move my pillows to the side and use both of my blankets here. So one blanket, I'm just going to roll up the very bottom of it one time. You might not even need that. This one is going to go underneath your head, and that extra roll of the blanket, or not, right? You'll see what you need. just helps to support the natural curve of the neck. And if you're not sure what I mean, you can just take your hand to the back of your neck and feel the curve that's already there. While you have your hand on your neck, you might as well give yourself a nice little massage, some pressure, some warmth in these tender places where, again, we hold our day, we live our life. So that's the support for underneath the neck. And the next blanket, I'm just going to open this out one more time. Remember, you can use a bath towel. So I've got it like this and I'm rolling it up. And this one will go right underneath my shoulder blades. So you can take your hands and feel where your shoulder blades are. They're the kind of bony triangular bits of the middle of the back that you might feel kind of jutting out when you move your arm around. And so this rolled blanket will go underneath the shoulder blades or just behind the shoulder blades. And to come onto the floor, you can bend your knees. Might be easier to come down onto your side first, right? And use your hands to support you. If you're down on your side first, you can just take a moment, right? We take our time as we settle in. And then you can roll onto your back from there. You can use your hands to support your head and your neck. And just like you do at the end of the day, when you get into your bed, you just move your hair if you need to. If you have glasses on, you can take off your glasses and take the first moment, or as long as it takes, just to settle in, right? And check in with the height of the blanket beneath you, support of the blanket at your head. And if it doesn't feel quite right, you might first try shifting down toward your feet. So the blanket in the back comes up a little bit higher. If that doesn't work, you can try shifting towards your head. That might feel better, right? It's about you finding a place where you can stay. And I've got the actual shoulders and the arms are on the floor in between these two blankets. And that should be about what you're able to find too. Every body is different, so it will look and feel different for each of us. And eventually you want to land in a space where it feels like this blanket behind your heart is opening up the chest, the rib cage, the belly. The knees are bent, feet can stay on the floor. You might even let the inner knees knock together, just rest together. And your arms can come out. I have my arms almost like goalposts or cactus arms, the elbows bent, the palms facing up. You might find it's more comfortable to have the arms down, or even take a hand to your heart, a hand to your belly. And again, it's up to you. You find what works, what feels like you can stay. And if it feels okay, you can close the eyes and just start to settle in. Relax your jaw. If the eyes closed don't work, you can keep them open. It's perfectly okay. But if you do like to have the eyes closed, and maybe for the next time you practice, you have an extra like hand towel or something you can place over your eyes just to darken the room, bring you more inside, internal focus instead of we spend so much of our days, so much of our lives looking around, taking things in. Here in the restorative yoga practice, we do what we can to take less in and to begin to turn the attention inward. And one way to do that as you settle into the shape is to find the breath. Maybe even begin to deepen the breath. So you breathe in a little bit longer through your nose. And breathe out a little bit longer through your nose. Inhale comfortably, smoothly through the nose. And a smooth, comfortable exhale through the nose. And feel as you inhale, the rib cage expand. And as you exhale, there's a softening. Everything draws in and down. Breath in. Breath out. And you stay for a few more moments like this. And of course, if the support underneath your back is too much, you can either unroll the blanket a bit, or you don't even need to have anything underneath you. Sometimes just lying here like this is enough. Some of you might want even more height, and you can roll up 2 blankets together. And that's one of the wonderful things about restorative yoga, is that it's completely customizable. You can bring the shapes to you, use the props to make them work for you more or less, whatever it is you need. And we go slow enough and we take our time in each shape so that you can really try to give yourself what it is that you need. So a few more moments like this. And check in with your breath. Come back to your breath, smooth it out. And let your attention stay with your breath. One more moment, just like this. You can open your mouth on your next exhale. Go of heat. You can move your fingers and your toes, your ankles and your wrists. Open your arms and your legs. And keep the knees bent, roll back to your side and just pause there for a moment. Rest in like a fetal position. You can have one arm underneath your head for a little extra support. The other arm falls in front of the body, hand steadies you on the floor in front of you. And when you're ready, use your hands to press yourself up and just sit for a moment. Let that settle in the body. Notice how you feel. If there's anything you need. Perhaps this is the only time in a typical day that we can take our time in between all of the things that we do, all of the transitions. So the next shape is an elevated legs pose, legs up the wall, or even the dresser or your bed. I'll show you the variation with the legs up the wall, and our last shape together, I'll show you another variation for this, so you'll have some options. So you come over toward the wall, and what you'll do is sit up against it. So I've got my left hip and my left shoulder pretty close to the wall. They're not quite touching it. I'm just going to take this extra blanket here as support for my head. And I'm also getting a little bit cold. So again, you give yourself what you need. So I've got my other blanket here nearby, and I'm going to lay this over me once I come down. So hands come behind you, and then very slowly I'll start to bend the elbows and lean back so that I can swing my legs around toward the wall, and then my head and my back will start to come down onto the floor. And again, go slow, use your hands to help you for extra support. Take your time with this. And I've got a few inches between my seat and the wall here. And if your hamstrings, the backs of your legs feel very tight, you don't want this to be too much of a stretch. The point here is to relax, not to overstretch. So if you feel like the hamstrings feel really stretched here and you need some more space, you can back away from the wall. If you want a little bit more, you might come closer to the wall. And again, you have to find your sweet spot here. So take a few moments to settle in, right, to find what feels like a place that you can stay. And again, if you're cold, you can cover yourself with a blanket. If you've got that hand towel, you can lay it over your eyes or just keep the eyes open and soft. I got the backs of my heels are resting here on the wall. Soft bend in the knees. Relax your jaw. And remember, you can take the first few moments to keep shifting as you need to. You can scratch every itch so that when you finally settle in, there's nothing to do. There's nowhere to go. And just simply rest here. Feel the support of the ground beneath you. The support of the wall behind the heels. And see if you can let your legs be very heavy so it feels like you're just dropping the weight from the toes to the heels and the ankles to the knees and to the hips. And like the back of your hips could just melt into the floor. Feel the spine on the ground, the back on the ground, the back of the hips, backs of the shoulders, backs of the arms. You can have your arms out by your side. You can have them over your head. You can have the cactus arm shape. And I've got both elbows bent and the palms of my hands resting one on top of the other on top of my heart, right in the center of the chest. And in this way, I feel the rise of the abdomen as I inhale and the fall as I exhale. A nice way to stay connected to the breath. And feel the back of the head heavy on the ground. Feel a blanket on top of you, the extra weight of the blanket helping to keep you here, to anchor you here. And as you rest here, breathing slowly and comfortably, smoothing out the space between the inhales and the exhales. Okay, and keep moving through that sequence of toes to heels to ankles to knees to hips to back to shoulders, arms, and head. Keep tracing that line through the body. Each time you pass through a part of the body, just inviting it to loosen and relax. Take a few more moments like this. When you're ready to come out, you can just bend your knees and let your feet slide down the wall. And take a few breaths like that. When you're ready, gently roll onto whichever side is most comfortable and pause there. Take a few breaths like this. Use your hands to help press yourself up and just pause, seated for a moment. And so the next shape is a supported reclined twist. And for this one, you need, if you have a yoga bolster or maybe just a firmer cushion from your couch or a stack of pillows from your bed, you can lay that out. And I'm sitting right next to it. My knees are bent and this bolster is pressed up against the outer edge of my left hip. I've got two blankets here. I'm gonna place one in between my thighs and just shift my feet off to the side so they come out from underneath me. It's kind of like if you've ever seen someone riding side saddle on a horse. It's like that. Legs swung off to one side. And I've just got the extra blanket here again to cover myself as I come down. And I'll take the hands to frame this cushion. And you'll feel the twist maybe right around the navel, and the spine is actually twisting here. And of course, you'll move according to your conditions here. Go slow, take your time, use your hands to bring me down, and you can rest a cheek on the bolster or the cushions. And it could be your left cheek, right? That kind of keeps things simple. Or if you would like a twist for the neck as well, you can turn to the other side. And I need a little extra height underneath my head, so I'm going to try a pillow here. That's it. that's the kind of the sign that you're doing it right, is when you can make that feeling or that sound like But if it feels more like huh, like not good, pain or something like that, or just not quite comfortable, that's a sign that you can try something different for yourself. Keep shifting. And this blanket here between the thighs helps to support the low back. Steady out the low back, the area around the sacrum. I've got my knees stacked, ankles stacked. And as you settle in, you might close your eyes or just soften the gaze. The description I love to give here is that it should feel like you're softening into a really good hug, right? Like if you've ever had a great hug, if you can remember the last great hug, so that like you don't need to feel rigid or like you're holding back. Like you could just give the full weight of your body. Relax your shoulders, relax your arms, relax your belly. Relax your hips, relax your legs, and let yourself just soften into the support beneath you. And take a few more breaths like this on this side. Eventually bring your hands to the floor, your palms flat on the floor so you can lift yourself up. And then if you turn to your right, you'll come to face away from the bolster, and you can just bend your knees, hug your knees, sit like this for a moment. And if you keep turning in that same direction, you'll have to adjust your props a bit. You'll come to face the bolster with the right hip to the outside of, or the outside of the right hip to the bolster. Again, you can walk your hands around, frame the bolster, and lay yourself out long. You'll feel that twist around the navel, feel that twist of the spine. And as you come down, it's like the bolster comes to kind of very nicely support and fill in the right side of the waist here. Move and shift and find what feels like the sweet spot for yourself for the next few moments. And settle in, close the eyes, relax the jaw, relax the face, and relax the whole body. Even a sense of the breath relaxing, mind maybe beginning to quiet. And for the next few moments, nothing to do but rest right here. And take a few more breaths here like this, smoothing out the inhales, smoothing out the exhales. When you're ready to come out, hands find the floor, keep the head heavy, and slowly lift yourself up. Take a moment just to pause. Each restorative yoga practice begins with the most, or ends with the most essential shape, and that is the basic relaxation pose. And if you only have time for one pose in a day, let this be it. So I happen to have the pillow here, so I'll use that for underneath my head. Take this bolster or another pillow or a blanket underneath the knees. I also said that I would show you a variation on that legs up the wall, and it's just kind of elevated legs with a cushion or two. So you might use the pillow or the cushion underneath the heels here for a little extra support. Make sure that you are warm. And use your hands to help yourself down. And of course, if being on your back is not good for you, you can rest on your side. You can even rest on your belly, any place where you feel safe, supported, and comfortable, like you could stay. Move as you need to, adjust the amount and the type of support beneath you and around you, and even on top of you, blankets, towel over the eyes. See if you can take the time to set yourself up in a way that feels generous, comforting, supported. It's not always easy to do that for ourselves, but here is where we can practice that kind of generosity toward ourselves. You might let the eyes close or just soften the gaze. You can relax the jaw, even swallow a few times to relax your throat. shoulders, the arms, wrists and the hands and the fingers, your back, the abdomen, the ribs, the belly, your hips, the glutes, the legs, knees, ankles, feet, toes. You can watch your breath for a few rounds. Just let the attention rest lightly on the breath. Sense the beginning of your next breath in. Feel the fullness at the top of the inhale. And exhale, let the breath go. Inhale. Exhale. Let the breath be smooth, calm, comfortably full. Take a few quiet moments like that to simply be here, breathe, and rest. And when you're ready to come out, you can deepen your breath again. You can open your mouth, release the breath, and move your fingers and your toes, bend your knees, let your knees rest together. Take a few breaths like this. Roll to your side, whichever side is most comfortable. Take a few breaths there. And use your hands to help you up. And just like we started, you can sit for a few moments and just let the body receive the effects of this practice. And if you notice any bit of calm or quiet or relaxation or restoration in your body, you just make note of it, and almost like an imprint that you can carry with you into the rest of your day. Thank you so much for practicing with me.